I was like, and they're like, we can't believe you're still doing every week you're on this. And it's just like, hey, we got good books to talk about
every week.
Every week. I mean, they were kind of like jabbing me a little bit because it's like, but I still love doing it. Sorry that I've been gone for a couple weeks, everybody, but I love doing it. I think that the people who watch it are loving the recommendations that you guys are giving. So I will sit in my little squirrely little office here with they were actually, I think, ripping me more off about my sign than anything else. It's like
the sign at home.
The sign at home, even being a complete book nerd with my sign at home.
Get your name tag and your sign.
I should have I have a National Charity League name tag. I should probably wear it right here.
Oh, there you go. Then
just
you
in
really
case you don't know who I am.
They'd really rip you for that.
Oh God, for sure. Oh my God, so bad. And I'm kind of, having dealt the past couple of weeks with just some personal family stuff, but haven't been reading. So I'm just like, I've been reading old stuff. Go figure. So
stuff you read before, or
no, hadn't read. I never read the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. So I think it's a source book. Yeah.
That plays with time, right? It
plays with time, and I've decided that I'm not a good mystery reader because the twists are never twisty enough for me. So like the big reveal came and I was like, fuck, that was it. Oops, sorry. I was like, that was it. I mean, everybody was like, oh my God, the twist. And I'm like,
well,
okay.
Sometimes mysteries are just like that. It's all the buildup and the
correct. Yes. And I don't appreciate the buildup. I don't appreciate it, obviously, because I was just like, so anyways, all right, I digress. Let's get going. It's gonna go Steve, Tom, Dave, and Andrea. And Steve, take it away.
All right. Well, first up for me is, can you see this? Ann Tyler's newest novel, French Braid. I've been reading Ann Tyler since I think the mid 80s is when I started. When I think Dinner at the Homesick Restaurant, I read that. And then Accidental Tourist, which I think is still my favorite. Not in the least because I really loved the movie, but before the movie came out, I loved the book, and I just fell in love with her writing. And she's just been, I've read so many of her books, Clock Dance, Full of Thread. And then this new book, French Braid, is just a classic Ann Tyler. It's funny. It's a big family novel. It's perceptive. And of course, it's a Baltimore family. And there's joy and sadness and everything that comes with family, right? And I guess one way to encapsulate this story is what makes a family not work. And it's
wait, from the green room, I have some stuff we can talk about that.
What was I going to say?
Sorry, family not work. Sorry, I totally hijacked you there. Sorry.
Sorry, no problem. Anyway, their dysfunctions are large and small, but the book is shot through with love and perseverance. That's their story. And the heart of the story is the matriarch, Mercy Garrett, and she's probably one of Anne's most indelible heroines. So it's quintessential Ann Tyler. You'll laugh, you'll cry. If you are the type of person who likes to underline sentences, you'll underline sentences. There's just tremendous warmth and humor. And she really illuminates the kindness and cruelties of everyday life. That's it, the new Ann Tyler.
I love Ann Tyler.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and you're so right about just just going back to like an old friend,
Yes, exactly.
It's just coming back. It's kind of like how I feel about reading a John Grisham book. It's just like you go back and it's just like you just know you're reading a John Grisham book. You just have that.
Always a treat.
Yeah, always a treat. Accidental Tourist, was that a John Hurt movie? Or
William Hurt.
Was that a William Hurt?
Yeah.
And Gina Davis.
And Gina Davis, that was it. Yeah.
Right.
That was a good movie.
He should have won the Oscar for that, for Accidental
Yeah,
Tourist.
yeah.
And I think that's probably why, I mean, not that he didn't deserve the one, but it always seems like they always get one after they do like a really good performance like that.
Yes,
You know what I
it
mean?
seems that way.
Well, and I love that Ann Tyler, you mentioned perseverance. She just perseveres. She never disappoints. She's just, and she's reached that point where she's like an icon.
She
Right,
is,
right.
and beloved.
Yeah.
as well.
So excellent. All right. Okay, Tom, what do you got?
Okay, well, I'm going to share a screen.
Oh, shoot, wait. See,
What?
I've been gone for a while.
Well, it's
What?
so rare that I'm going to share a screen.
You're gonna share a screen?
Let's see if it can happen.
Let's see.
Holy cow.
It's happening. It's happening.
Okay, it's
Not happening. Oh, now it's happening.
You can see it, right?
Now we
Yeah,
can.
totally.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep.
All right, good. So my first book is Disorientation. So I love a good debut novel that marks the arrival of a real important young writer. And so Penguin Press is just last week published Disorientation by Elaine Chow. So and I also love campus novels. So this is set in a fictional liberal arts college in Massachusetts, and it's a PhD student who suddenly she's a Taiwanese American woman. It's coming of age as well, and she's kind of floundering, but she's working on her PhD, and she's using the work of a famous Chinese poet, until she discovers there's a note in the files that leads her to the discovery that this Chinese poet there may be a fraud happening, and it may be a white man impersonating a Chinese poet, it's based on this real life incident in 2015 when a poet who is using a Chinese sounding pseudonym, but he was really a white man, and he was selected, I think, for Best American Poetry that year. And so it became a big scandal, of course. So she's using this real life event to talk about what's happening. She dives right into cultural appropriation. All the issues of our day are here, but it's a comic novel. It's funny. It's a satire. It's delightful, but it's got real heft because of the themes and subject matter that it's dealing with. Excellent early reviews, great buzz. I think this is a book that is going to be talked about through the rest of the year. This cover, I think, is fantastic. It tells you that you're in for something completely original and something new and different. And then last week she published an essay that got a lot of people talking, and I highly recommend it. It's called What White Men Say in Our Absence. And so it's really hard-hitting, very personal essay. But she described it as the hardest thing I've ever written. It took me 4 years to finish. I wrote it for us. I believe in us. I'm fighting for us, but we're not going anywhere. So anyway, I think she's a real original, and very exciting to have this debut novel out. Entertaining, but super smart.
Looks really good.
Yeah,
Looks yeah, it does look really good. Okay, let me unshare.
How do I
Oh, wait, I've lost there it is. Hold on. And so many people are saying, glad to have you back. Thank you, everybody. Glad to be back. It's a good reason to come back. I guess last week, Sarita asked us, and I'm going to throw this in a little bit the question was, don't forget recommendations for great long books.
Yes.
So I've got one that I'll share in a little bit with you. And I think Andrew will be happy that I'm sharing that one. That it just reminded me of that. But Tom, back to this book. It kind of, the cover kind of makes you think it's a little bonkers, a little crazy.
Yes, it is a little bonkers. Yeah, there are no sacred cows in this book. I mean, she's skewering everything and everyone on the college campus. So
yeah, maybe not as bonkers as Bunny. Maybe not that bonkers.
No, but that's not a bad comparison.
Okay.
No, but definitely not as bonkers as Bunny. I won't. She does not push it that far, but it's on the way to Bunny.
Okay, because I love that. I mean, I love and the skewering that she did. So I might have to look at that one.
Yeah, definitely.
That was a good one. Okay, good. What you got?
That's always interesting topic. I remember when I started at Broman's in '83, Danny Santiago wrote a book called Famous All Over Town. It turns out Danny Santiago was a guy named Daniel Lewis James from Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, God.
And I think Simon published it, and he great reviews. I mean, it was a pretty good book. I mean, I felt like I was there. I grew up in the area he was writing about, and
Wow.
it seemed really authentic. But he was some white dude from Omaha, Nebraska, middle of the country. Used a pseudonym, and I remember Dominic Dunn. Apparently, they were friends, but Dominic Dunn outed him in an article, and
I don't remember
it
that.
all went to heck. But
That's way pre social media. He would have been canceled in a heartbeat if that happened today.
I mean, if you don't know who he is, I mean, he got canceled then. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody knows Danny Santiago or Famous All Over Town, which I remember Simon was supposed to wanted to nominate it for the Pulitzer, but he refused to supply information. He kept in contact with an agent via regular mail. That's all there was. Via mail, he never popped his face around anywhere. So he kind of knew what he was doing, it seemed. But I remember reading it and thinking, it's an LA book. I thought of it as a really LA book. But anyways, I digress. I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
Am I? And I'm going to start with our old friend Kate Quinn, who we just love. We have some signed stock available at Warwick's.
Yep.
Book is coming out tomorrow.
Yep.
And we're excited. We published the Alice Network a few years ago, and I remember reading it. It's just this big fat World War I, World War II women spies that was really interesting. It was like 670 pages. I kept reading and reading. It was this big, fat, satisfying book. And it was, I think, was it the first Reese pick? It might have been the first.
I think
Reese
so.
Pick.
Yeah.
But the book did really well. Then Reese picked it and it did even better. And we've just been killing with Kate Quinn since then. And this is how we've been doing her as paperback original. And we are now publishing her first hardback with us. And we're really excited. She's a local gal. I think she's in El Cajon area. And we are looking at a book here that is, again, World War II history, epic style like she does, another big, fat, satisfying novel. And in this instance, we have a World War II Russian, Lyudmila Pavlichenko, who is a student and then joins the military and becomes this awesome sniper. And then we see her doing her bit to as a and there was actually a movie with Kate Hepburn where she came many years ago, where she comes to America and is this I think she's a flyer at that point in this story, but she comes to America to try to generate interest and get America into the war on the right side. So she becomes sort of an advocate for looking for allies to defend Russia from Germany. So familiar territory, familiar author. We talk about, people really like, there's authors that I read and the next book I'm going to read because they take me away or they put me in a very familiar place, very comfortable place. And I can't wait for the next Ann Tyler. I'm so anxious to read the next Ann Tyler. People are anxious to read the next Kate Quinn, and you know what you're getting and you're not going to be disappointed. Again, she just does a fantastic job. So we're really
she's a force, man. She's a phenomenon because she supports so many other authors too.
Right.
She is absolutely fantastic with her support of other authors, but she packs the house every time she comes, whether it's virtual or in person. She actually is living in Seattle a little bit right now, short term, because her husband's in the military.
Right.
So she's up there, I think, with him. I don't know. But anyways, but there's a virtual event with her on Thursday. That's a big group virtual event. So we've got, I think, Amanda linked to the tickets if you are a Kate Quinn fan and you're going to get the book, might as well watch her do the event too. So there you go. And Tom, Beth Johnson's on here. She read Yinka, where's your husband? Sid loved it.
Oh, that's great. I love hearing that.
I love that too. All right, Andrea, what do you got?
Well, I have a big book about books from Gestalten, our excellent German art and photography and design publisher. This is called Temple of Books. And the subtitle is Magnificent Libraries Around the World. It is out tomorrow, but there is no hard and fast street date. So if you ran down to Warwick's today, you could pick it up. It is a $69 gorgeous hardcover. And when I mean gorgeous, when I say gorgeous, I mean gorgeous. And it basically is just a great survey of libraries from around the world. It's exploring, some of the most stunning examples, but it also explores how varied the idea of here's one here, San Diego, the Geisel Library.
Yeah.
So San Diego is represented very strongly here with this brutalist architecture example. But it explores how varied, like I was saying before, the idea of a library is. It can be like a huge, like Baroque masterpiece library with leather-bound tomes and all of the rare books secured away that you have to get, a pass to get into those rooms. Or it could be just a little phone booth with a couple of shelves on a street somewhere. So this is just absolutely gorgeous, I think. And anybody who likes books and libraries will love this book. It's a nice large gift book, actually. Let's see, it's 10.3 by 8 by 3. So it's, it's a good size coffee table book for your home or the home of one of your friends who loves books.
Looks like a great gift book. And it's one of
Yep.
those that like you could give to, because sometimes there's, I have a friend who's a big book lover, and then it's just like they don't know specifically what kind of fiction or whatever to give them. So it's like that's a great kind of gift to give to somebody.
Yeah, and I think, this is going to hang around through the holidays, but, there are some big dates coming up. There's graduations,
Right.
Mother's Day, Father's Day. So, time to go and get that book.
Time to go and get that book. And so Beth says she might not be able to travel to all those libraries, but wow. To visit virtually is really good.
Yeah.
And okay, so Serena, we're going to get to your big book question. You're going to make everybody wait till the very end. That'll be after our lightning round. We'll kind of like maybe go around and see if anybody's got that big book suggestion at the very end. Okay, Steve.
Are you talking about all time? It has to be recently published, or
No, it doesn't. I don't know. I think any.
Okay.
Any all. If the one that popped into my head is a recently published one.
Okay.
But
All
it
right.
could be an older book.
And for me, I'm thinking older books, like books that have stuck with me though.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it'll be fun to just have a smattering. Okay.
Okay.
What's your next selection, Steve?
My next one is a debut called When We Were Birds. The author is Ayana Lloyd Buono. And this is kind of, if you like, magic realism or like folkloric, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word or a word at all, but
Taking it up.
folkloric tales. Then you'll like this book. It's fantastical. It's about two star-crossed lovers, and it's set in Port Angeles, and it's kind of the not entirely real city of Trinidad and Tobago. And it's the two young people meet in the midst of a storm that's not entirely natural. So there's a magicalness. I'm making up words right and left here as we go along.
I like it.
It's written in the patois of the islands. The young man of the two lovers is Darwin, and he's down on his luck. He's a Rastafarian, but he has to cut his hair to get a job, and the job he gets is as a gravedigger in this cemetery. And meanwhile, the young woman, she's from a lineage of, I don't know if witch is the right word, but magical, people with magical powers. And in fact, it's all on the mother's line. And one woman in every generation inherits this power and an obligation to shepherd the dead into the afterlife. Okay, so here's the young boy. He's working as a gravedigger. She's the shepherdess to the dead. And that's where they meet, at the cemetery, and they immediately, their connection is powerful and undeniable. But these spirits in the cemetery need both of them. I guess their goal is to restore justice to the city's restless and very, very angry dead. So it's been called mythic and captivating by the New York Times Book Review. It's just a really elegant and beautifully written folk tale, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Sounds really good. And I know that Amanda is a fan. Already.
Good.
So
It's really, really good.
Yeah, she's talked about it. So
Great.
okay. Yeah, love that. So that's a good one. I love the mystical stuff. I love the, it's take me away in that kind of world. I love that. Better than the mysteries. No, I'm just kidding. I digress. So Sarita said she wants our all-time favorites. So I got two that I can think of on the big books. So we'll keep thinking on that one. Okay, Tom, what's next?
Okay, sharing screen. Here we go.
Got it.
Okay, good. So my next book is by Rebecca Sherm, who 6 years ago, we published her first novel called Unbecoming, which was it was a heist novel set in the South that was very entertaining, a literary heist novel, and it had a little bit of Donna Tartt to it. I would highly recommend that novel. But now she's given it her second novel, and it's completely different. Could not be more different than the first one. This takes us into outer space, where in the near future, 2033, all the things we fear have come to pass, like a tech giant. The name of the tech giant is Census, is commodifying all personal data, trying to predict every human behavior. Algorithms are everywhere. We've got more than one billionaire in space doing stuff. So it's she's capturing the zeitgeist of what's happening in the world right now, but taking us into a future that's terrifying. So it's so there's all that. That's the setting. But into that setting, she's got real human beings who are still feeling the things that human beings feel. So you follow. So it's both really thought-provoking, but also really moving story of people who are left behind on Earth while these other people are in space. So it's for the reader of, say, Station 11 for sure, Severance, that kind of book. The reviews are already really good. The San Francisco Chronicle called it a rocking ride. The novel is propulsive, captivating, touching, funny, and utterly, most importantly, utterly terrifying. So that's A House Between Earth and the Moon by Rebecca Sherm.
Who's the I'll pull you off of screen sharing. Who is the publisher on that one?
That's Viking.
It's Viking. Okay, Viking always does a good job on that.
Yeah. So when it comes to Viking, like this is a sort of a commercial kind of novel, but the writing's going to be good.
Right.
Publisher.
So also will probably be a really good book club discussion kind of.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. There's Kim DeVoe.
Sorry.
Kim DeVoe coming in hot at like the half-hour mark.
It's over.
Might I just rip you off a little bit on that?
Oh yeah, I'll just do 2 books.
Okay, so I'm going to bring you in after Andrea then. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, Gabe.
So my next book, because I have so many good books,
always,
is not happening right here. Give me a second. But I am going to talk about Pandoras Jar by Natalie Haynes. Natalie Haynes just wrote a book for us called 10,000 Ships, which is a retelling of Greek mythology.
That was good.
Very well. It won the Orange Prize like Song of Achilles did. I think it's the same audience, and it's just done tremendously well. So we're very happy to have another book from Natalie, and this is something a little easier and a little more accessible, and it is actually a paperback original. And we are having here just she introduces us to the women of the Greek tragedies that were overlooked by the male writers for the last, whatever, 2,800 years, 3,000 years. So she's just just really sharp, small explications of Medea, of Antigone, and the stories that we know. And then she digs a little deeper into the culture and tries to tell a more realistic and paint these women in a more realistic view, rather than these idealized women reacting to their world created by men. In some points, she points the power that these women took on, and looks at these women in a completely different light. So really interesting, really short, digestible pieces with a great package, and just something that we're excited to have coming out from Natalie Haynes. Good addendum reading if you're reading any of the Circe stuff, Circe and Song of Achilles. And honestly, I'm in bookstores and I see young people coming in all the time looking for a Homer or looking for something else. So you know what? You might pick up Aeschylus, you might pick up somebody else along the way. If you start reading some of this stuff, it just readers start getting drawn into other rabbit holes as we go down. So I think this is a good look at a number of characters of the Greek pantheon, women characters of the Greek pantheon, and the literary pantheon or cultural pantheon, and some explications of who they probably were, more than the stories that we have heard. So always fun.
It's a Pandora's box.
You want to open that up? As a man, I'm cool with leaving that box closed.
Keep that box closed.
Keep the lid on.
Put that lid back on. No, but there is, 10,000 ships, all those. There is definitely, that could be a subgenre of what's going on right now, because there's a lot of really good ones. Electra, there's a lot of good stuff coming in that world, and not that there's a shortage of topics.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Andrea.
Hey, I am trying to share my screen, but I can't seem to find my page, which
Click
is
on the middle
weird.
page. You got 3 tabs to the middle tab.
Where right
You
there?
have tabs? Yeah.
No,
Success.
I don't know where it is. It's weird because I can see it. I can see it on my, I have too many tabs up is what's happening, my friends. But I can see it right when I go to my,
What book do you want to do? Maybe I
there
can
it,
pull it
there
up.
it is. There
got
it
it?
is.
You got it?
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk about George Soros, A Life
The
of
devil.
a Fool. Yeah. Survivor, billionaire, speculator, philanthropist, philosopher, political activist, nemesis of the far right, global citizen. This is edited by the great Peter L.W. Ostos, who, among other storied titles, a long-term editor at the Washington Post, Random House back in the day, and is the father of the great Evan Osnos, New Yorker writer of some note. So the family's very talented, and he's brought together a collection of amazing writers to contribute essays about the life of George Soros, who's, it's a great picture. All of these collected essays really provide a great picture of one of the most important, complex, and misunderstood, I would say controversial as well, figures of our time. But arguably, Soros has done more than any government, just personally, to promote open societies during our lifetime. And hats off to that. Okay, we need a little bit more of that, especially now as autocracies gain footholds around the world. And this is by, this comes to us from Harvard Business Review Press. So, you know, they've got a lot of chops and a lot of, you know, forays into the business world. And so I think this is going to get a lot of attention, great publicity here. This pubbed March 8th. So it's in the store now. And I'm just hoping that people will pick this up for anybody who's interested in politics, civilization, really, and the furtherance of open societies, I think might be interested in this title. So that's George Soros, A Life in Full. It is $30 hardcover from Harvard Business Review Press.
I can't remember. We had an event. I can't remember what who the publisher was, but it was a really interesting event about like big philanthropy and how that can change, and it really affects us more than we think. And I think I put this in kind of the same kind of category where it's just sort of like the government can only do so much. So, and I think you're right about that. And he is a fascinating character. And, you know, I mean, I like that there's a very number of voices here to really show who the guy really is. Yeah. Interesting.
So.
Love it.
Yeah, Peter also is the perfect guy to do the editing here. He knows everybody. He's been around forever. He had that imprint, Public Affairs, that he founded. That's still around, right?
It's still around. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yep.
I used to work with them. And he's a great guy, and he is he knows everybody. Okay. He knows everybody in Washington. He knows everybody in New York. He knows everybody in Boston. He's connected.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Okay, Kim.
Okay. My first book, well, let me start here. My first book today was recommended to me by Nancy, who listened to it as an audiobook and just loved it. So of course I had to read it too. It's a debut. I wish I had a hard copy. It's a beautiful book. It's called Peach Blossom Spring, and it's by Melissa Fu. This historical novel begins in 1938 in China during the Japanese invasion. It follows the story of Mei Lin and her young son Renshu as they flee from their home and journey across China, desperately trying to escape the Japanese bombers. They miraculously survive, hiding in the caves and tunnels of Chongqing until the end of World War II. But then the Chinese Civil War begins, and to escape Mao's brutality, they flee to Taiwan. There, Renshu falls in love with math and physics, with the elegance and predictability of equations. Unlike land, gold, treasures, food, or even people, once he understands something, it is his to keep forever. Renshu manages to go to the US for college and grad school, and the second half of this book follows the life he builds there and how his traumatic past continues to haunt him. His daughter is desperate to know more about her Chinese heritage, but Renshu cannot talk about the past. This story is mesmerizing, completely immersive, and fascinating. It is inspired by the author's own father's real-life experiences, and anyone who likes Lisa C. or Jinmin Lee's Pachinko will love this book.
I was just going to say Pachinko. I was just like, that's all I could think about as a comp was just like, I think if people like Pachinko, they're going to love that.
Yeah.
And Amanda, your daughter, Gabe, was going to be disappointed. It's a Little Brown title. She's going to miss that.
Yeah, she talked about this one last week, as I recall.
Did
Last
she?
week or the
Okay.
week before.
Okay. Yeah.
Great package. We talked about that great jacket.
Great.
Yeah,
package.
it's gorgeous book.
Yeah, really good.
And what a story.
Kim, you've got to put your thinking cap on because at the end of this next round, we have to do Sarita's big book all-time favorite. So if you can think of one. we're just gonna toss around some ideas on that. Okay, lightning round. That's really a lightning round. Steve,
Okay.
go.
For the lightning round, I've got Harvey Firestein's memoir that came out, I think 2 weeks ago. I was better last night. And we're all familiar with Harvey. He kind of came to fame as the author and star of Torch Song trilogy. And but he's written books for the stage, huge Broadway hits like La Cage aux Folles, Kinky Boots, and he was starred in Hairspray on Broadway, another huge hit. And he even had a run not so long ago as Tevye in Fiddler. So that's his stage side, but he's kind of a cultural icon, right? He's really important in the LGBTQT community for all of his important work and as a gay rights activist. And he's lived an extraordinary life, and that's what's documented in his memoir. It's about the theater, it's about people he's known, it's funny, it's dishy, there's lots of great photos. There's it's a warts and all reflection of himself, and it's really a lot of fun. Mostly it's a really fun read. So that's Harvey Firestein's new memoir. I
imagine it's a really fun read, and when you're reading it, I can imagine hearing his voice.
Yes,
as you're reading.
It's so yes, it's so present.
Yeah, I can just imagine as you're reading it that you can just hear that nasal coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect.
And I think he might have written they're doing Funny Girl on Broadway right now. And I think he might have written the book for that.
Did he? Right? I don't know.
Because they did a new, they freshened it up or whatever. And anyway,
it needed freshening up.
You can't fresh up Funny Girl.
Okay, Tom, you're getting ripped off. Beth says, is this the new Mike Nichols memoir?
which is?
Is Harvey's the new Mike Nichols?
Oh, yeah, that's right. It could be. It could be.
He might be just perpetually talking about that for the. I love that you get kind of ripped a little bit on this.
I like it too. I like to be ripped.
I know, I like it. Okay, Tom, go.
I'm getting so good at this sharing. I just shared.
I know.
But I'm not good at unsharing. I have to figure that out. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll get it done for you.
So this is one of our biggest successes, surprise successes, at least to me, last year, was a paperback original called Dial A for Aunties. And one of I think the store that has sold the most copies in my territory is Warwick's. So there must have been some bookseller love there as well. But anyway, really fun debut, mystery, rom-com, and hilarious novel. So the new book is For Aunties and a Wedding, which comes out tomorrow. And so it starts off with the main character, Meddy, who's the bride-to-be. She's going to give her aunties the time off from their caterers, but she's not going to have them cater her wedding. So she brings in a new catering company, only to find out that this new catering company is involved with the mob, the mafia. So then the aunties come in to clean things up, to take care of. So it's wild, wacky, escapist fiction when we probably need some escapist fiction.
For sure.
So it's, I think from what I can tell, I haven't read these, but she hits all the right notes of, they're hilarious, they're heartfelt, they're just kind of perfectly done when you're looking for something like this. So For Aunties and a Wedding, I expect it to be another. I think these will just continue to grow because word will get around, and so.
I mean, I don't want to stereotype, but I mean, we have huge. What's the Kevin Kwan books?
Crazy Rich Asians.
Crazy Rich Asians. Yes,
yeah,
we have a cult following on all of Kevin Kwan's books, and
right.
I think these kind of satisfy that reader.
Perfect. Yes, exactly right. Yep.
So I think that's why we have such success because they're just, and it was done really well.
But people are, there's not a new Kevin Kwan. You want something that scratches that itch.
That a little bit. Yeah, because I think it's really fun. So, okay, Gabe.
Lightning rounding it here. I'm going to finish off with a kid's book. Una and the Shark. And if you have not come to know Una, you are in for a real treat. She is adorable. She's a little mermaid. She's rambunctious. She's very much her own person. And she is just the cutest character. And I got a chance to meet Raisa Figueroa, who is a Prince Coretta Scott King Award winner, illustrator. And she is so sweet and so nice. And I was like, wow, you're like so like normal. And the art is amazing. We don't have a real great vehicle to pull art from necessarily at Harper, but they're really cute. And the first book in the Una series that we published, it was just called Una, did really, really well for us. It's, again, like I said, it struck a nerve. I had this really dark purplish great cover in Una swimming around with her pets. She's just a really great little character, and you're gonna grow to love Una. It's really adorable. So it's a picture book, $17.99. It's got a great price, but totally worth it. I think the art is spectacular. And in this case, Una, who is always in everybody's business, runs across this hammerhead shark who is kind of curmudgeon and he's got other things to do. And Una won't quit until she wins the heart of the shark. So very cute story. And I think a great little read aloud and a great book for your, 3, 4-year-old, 5-year-old preschooler. A lot of fun.
Love it.
Adorable. Adorable. I just love the art.
I always love a good kids book. All right, Andrea.
Okay, I apologize if you hear my dog Sparrow barking crazily because my neighbor just dropped off some French onion soup that he made and she
Ooh.
just went crazy. But I think we're okay.
So good.
I might go crazy. I love me some French.
I know. I was just thinking, why are you teasing us with talking about French onion soup at 5
Scratching at the
o'clock?
door.
Well, I know, and it rained. I know it was raining in Southern California, and it rained here in the Eastern Sierra too, and
Yeah.
it snowed in the mountains, and so it's a perfect day for that.
I'm hating you a little bit right now, but that's okay.
Okay, sorry about that. Like, don't get the Andrea voodoo dolls out though, okay?
No, that's all right. I won't do that.
I just wanted to just a quick reminder that Damon Galgut's The Promise is now out in paperback. It won the Booker Prize this fall, the 2021 Booker Prize. It's also a New York Times Editor's Choice. Beautiful paperback cover here for it with a nice step back, perfect for literary book groups. And there's a nice stack right now at Warwick's, and just thanks for taking a look at it.
I still
Go
have
ahead.
to get
What?
to this. I still have to get to this. It's one that other things keep getting, and I so want to read this. I've got to get to this one.
Yeah,
Deborah
it's
loves this book.
yeah, it's something. Yeah, a lot of booksellers, getting a lot of booksellers love. But this is just something definitely, Julie, to get to when you can, when you're ready. It's literary. It's not a beach read. It's got but it is just so beautifully written. And Damon Galgut, we're just so happy that he's doing well here. This is $17.95 now on trade paper too.
Yeah. No, I can't wait because I'll talk about something else in a second. Okay. All right, Kim.
Okay, I'm gonna save my second book for next week because it's too good to do as a lightning read. I mean, it's like a big deal. So
Oh, now you're gonna tease us for a whole week?
yeah,
Oh,
I am.
wow.
It's
Wow.
not out yet. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
It's
All
okay.
right. Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to do this totally off the cuff, and I actually haven't finished this one yet. I started listening to it and I am loving it. So I'm going to do it. It's by Sally Hepsworth. She's a domestic suspense thriller writer. And oh my gosh, the setup of this book is just so good. It's set in Melbourne. It's like a, wealthy suburban family. And there are two daughters, both in their 30s. There's a dad in his 60s, and there's a mom also in her 60s who's been put in a nursing home because she has rapidly advancing early Alzheimer's. The dad, meanwhile, is a heart surgeon, and he's still young and vital. So he gets a girlfriend who's younger than his daughters, and then announces that they are getting married, even though his wife is still alive in a nursing home. So he just has to, get rid of this little complication and get a divorce.
This little complication.
So he tells his daughters this. They meet this, this woman, clearly a gold digger, right? And everybody has secrets. Oh my gosh, it's definitely one of those like twist after twist, just wow books that just keeps you compulsively turning the pages. Really, really fun one. And I don't know what the ending is. So
there you go.
Yeah, I'm waiting for more surprises.
I love. So you can bring us if it lived up to its expectation next week.
Right. Another tease.
Another tease for next week.
Yeah.
I love it. And she's really good. Sally's one of those that's just a solid, good storyteller.
Yeah, she is. And by the way, Tom, I was one of the A's for Aunties advocates. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Gerard and I just love that book. And
Gerard, of course.
Yeah. It's hysterical.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go a little bit longer today because we're gonna honor Sarita's request for the big fat books that we love of all time. So I'm gonna go with 2. Let's see if I can share my screen. Oh Lord have mercy. Let's see, there we are. Okay. Oh wait, yeah, I should be sharing the right screen. I don't know. My first one is, Andrea's still there. Freshwater for Flowers. Just did this for our book club last month. And it comes in, I don't know if this is going to tell me how many pages it is.
496 pages.
Does it say right there?
Yep.
Okay. So you guys know this page, right? Yeah. So 496, good, thick, fat book. One of the best book club discussions we've had this year was on this book. Everybody, and this is very rare in our book club. Everybody in our book club loved this book. So and actually I didn't know, Andrea, but it was like the number one, like during COVID, the shutdown, it was the number one book in Italy. So it's a French translation, but in Italy, it was the number one book. So I'm not very good at synopsis of it. So Freshwater for Flowers, you can read about that. And then the other one is, let's see if I can bring it up real quick.
Oh yeah.
I love the instance of the finger post. I don't know.
Oh.
I loved that book. It was Ann Pierce. Such a all-time. This is another one. How many pages is this one? Let's say
that's a big one.
752 pages. You want a big fat book? This is it. One murder, 4 different perspectives, count. I mean, it is just, I could still visualize this book. So you want a big fat one, and this is an old one. Was this 1999? It was a paper.
That was a great choice. I remember selling that book. And,
do you? Oh,
and reading it and just being like on every page, like back in the day when we weren't, I guess I was reading a manuscript, like actual pages,
Paper,
turning them.
Yeah. I love that. Is such a, I mean, so big, fat, juicy,
good ending.
Great ending.
Yeah.
Atmospheric. It has got it all. So those are my
Such
two.
a good book. That's a good one.
All right. Okay, Steve.
Okay, that is still waiting on my shelf for me. A friend of mine loaned it to me like 8 years ago, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. So it's something
Might have to
I'll
happen in
say
retirement, right?
it's coming. Yes, for retirement, it will be there. And I know I'll love it because everyone I've talked to like you has just adored it.
Yep.
All right, so I looked up at my shelf, and the first big book that I know I love and want to recommend is John Irving's Cider House Rules, which came out, I think, mid 80s.
85, 84.
Thank you, Gabe. It's like of his big books, like Prayer for, a lot of people think Prayer for Owen Meany is their favorite, but for me, it's Cider House Rules. It's very Dickensian in a way. It's set in an orphanage. It really tackled the abortion debate, which of course is still going on in the 80s. Beautiful characters, beautiful setting in Maine. Anyway, it's just a beautiful novel, John Irving at his best. The movie version was terrific, but they could only do so much and they had to leave a lot out. So I highly recommend the Cider House Rules.
Yeah. And that was like
What-
what they did with Prayer for Owen Meany. Simon
Yes, they
Birch
did
is the
the same
movie, which
thing.
is just like the first three
Oh, yeah.
chapters of the book. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So kind of the same thing. His books are just fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, Tom.
I feel like in a way, John Irving was my introduction to long novels. Like I love so many. I could name a couple of other John Irving novels that would
Right.
be.
Yep.
Hotel New
Yeah.
Hampshire.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
And then the book, one of the books. So I want to pick a book from the beginning of my career and then something coming up. But one of the books I was going to choose, I saw Gabe is already going to talk about, so I'm not going to talk about it. But I'm with you there. But the other book I thought of was Robert Caro's The Power Broker, which I don't know how long that is, but I'm sure it's pretty long. But it was published in the mid 70s. And when I got to New York and started working in publishing, that was a book that explained New York to me in a way, and then introduced me to Caro, who of course now is the most acclaimed biographer of our time. But it was about Robert Moses and the remake, how he remade New York, and it opened my eyes to so many things. It's incredible.
1,296 pages.
That
That's a
qualifies.
commitment.
Yeah, right. Of course. Well, because his LBJ biography is probably like 3,000 pages and counting.
Multiple parts, yeah.
Let's see who wins on the number of pages. You're winning
Yeah,
so
that's
far.
pretty good. The other, so that's a long time ago. But then we have a book coming up. Now, granted, these days I look for short novels. I love short novels. But Riverhead has a book coming up January of 2023. So look forward to it on Tea Time in how many months? 8 months. It's called Age of Vice. It is 500 pages. It's an Indian, we're kind of Godfather, an Indian Godfather. That gives you a sense right away of its epic scale. It's about different classes. It's about their version of the mafia. Very contemporary, very up to the minute. And and then there's also like a little bit of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, because it's the first of a trilogy. So this is going to be a long epic. This is true epic. So, but it delivers on the page. It delivers the page turning quality that you got to have. And so that's something to look forward to. That's Age of Vice. I was going to find the cover, but we haven't revealed the cover yet. We'll do a big cover reveal somewhere soon.
Okay. Ooh, sounds
'Cause
good.
Yeah, everybody's going to be hearing about this book
Where's the advanced readers?
soon, any minute, honest.
Okay. All right. Okay, Gabe, what do you got for us?
So I've got quickly, for fans of the big book, I have share screen. 2 books coming out this summer. Historical fiction set in the court of Eleanor of Aquitaine, and Son of the Century, a big epic novel of Mussolini, which I loved. I like both these books. 800 pages and 780 pages. But the books that I wanted to really talk about is, of course, Lonesome Love.
Lonesome Love. That was the other book. Yeah.
I'm surprised. I thought somebody would bring it up because it's, epic but magisterial novel of America, and the characters are amazing. You laugh, the best characters ever, and you cry. And I just loved this when I read this years ago, and it's like 780. And then recently, I have to talk about The Heart's Invisible Furies, because I think a lot of people have heard of it, because I probably talked about it before. It's a Random House book. It's Lonesome Dove's a Simon & Schuster book. But John Boyne's book is just one of the most beautiful novels I've ever read, one of the best novels I've ever read. It is loaded with, it's an epic. It's an epic novel set in Dublin, in Ireland, from 1940 through the present time. And it is a young man who is adopted and is never considered a real member of the family, and spends his entire life trying to find himself, and most of his life trying to find himself. And it is just amazingly written. It's beautiful.
I love this. I love this book so much. It is
Sounds great.
some of the funniest passages I've ever read in any novel, and some of the saddest too. But it is brilliant. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, he was a student of John Irving.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Bringing it all back home.
It's all coming
nicely
back.
done.
Circle of Life, baby.
It is no Heart's Invisible Furies, honest to God, it was again one of our book clubs best discussion we had when we read that. I mean, that whole year. It is a phenomenal book. And so much, so good. So good to talk about. All right, Andrea.
So last week I talked about one of my favorite big novels that comes in around 700 pages. And that was it is now gone. Earthly
I'm not the only one.
Powers. Earthly Powers by
Earthly Possessions, right?
Earthly Powers by Anthony Burgess. That was published. It's a great book, and that was published in 1980, the same year as this little slender volume in comparison, A Confederacy of Dunces, at about 416. But it has the feel of an epic large book. John Kennedy Toole. It was published about 11 years after he died, unfortunately. But it won the Pulitzer Prize. This is a long-term Grove Press backlist title. Since we started counting these things electronically, Works has sold about 411 copies. They just sold out of their copy that they had in the store. It's on order now. So call up and reserve that copy or the next copy, and they'll special order it for you. This was discovered by one of the great characters in publishing, Herman Graff, who's still working in the industry today, but he brought us this book, also brought us Endurance, and he was a self-taught publisher, really. He would go to the New York Library and figure out which books had basically gone out of copyright, and he would and then and what things have been out of print for years, and he'd bring them back. And he discovered this book, and aren't we very happy that that he did? So that's my big book. And then also just another great book, The Anatomy of Melancholy, which is this is a big guy. This is by Robert Burton. It's a classic. This is from New York Review of Books. And it's just I don't even know. I mean, check it out. So.
Okay, I have the funniest story about A Confederacy of Dunces. Okay, so this is back whenever Anne Rice wrote Interview with the Vampire, whatever that was. So I didn't read it right when it came out, but it came, somewhere
78 or something like that.
Yeah, so I read it
I
read it in the late 80s, maybe early 90s. So I went, and I can't remember where I went, but I said, okay, I love this book. I love New Orleans, the whole bit. Do you have another book about New Orleans that's and they recommended A Confederacy of Dunces.
Very different kind of book.
Yes, it is set in New Orleans, that I will give it, but it is not an Anne Rice novel.
So
imagine me reading that after thinking what I was supposed to be reading. It was just but no, but it is a very good book.
And that's a book that's been optioned for film over and over again. Stars want to do it, and then they can never get it together. I think starting maybe with John Belushi back in the day.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it would be really good as a limited series. I think that's what has to happen to it.
Right.
Yes.
And maybe now's the right time to do it.
Yeah.
Because there would be a little bit more leeway. You could flesh out the story and develop, the character, Ignatius. So.
Okay, this is cracking me up in the chat. Somebody said I can't even say it. I mean, you're gonna need a magisterial. Somebody said it twice, and so somebody said we can only have that once in a T type, and then somebody wants it to have its own emoji. Oh my god! You guys are killing me. All right,
its own emoji. That would be great.
Own emoji. I can't even say the damn word. Okay, Kim, do you have a big fat book that you can think of?
I didn't really think about this, but what the first one you did, Julie, Freshwater for Flowers, I loved, and just like you, everyone in my book club loved it. Yeah. And The reason I read it was because so many customers at Warwick's came in buying it for their best friend, telling me it was the best book they ever read.
Yeah.
And so I was like, whoa, I guess I have to read
I
this.
gotta look at it.
So that was really good. And I love the big saga books, the Eric Larson books, the Lauren Hillenbrand books, the Unbroken, the Boys in the Book, and I love the Ken Follett's. I mean, I love
Right.
all these.
Oh yeah,
saga
Ken
books.
Follett's another one.
Cider
you
House
can't get-
Rules I loved,
You can't
I
get a
don't
Ken
really-
Follett for under 1,000 pages.
Right,
No.
right. So yeah, there's so many. I started looking around with Tam, who's ridiculously well read, and yeah, she took her like 30 seconds to pick out like 30 favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to get Tammy on here too. What was the one that won? I don't know if it won the Pulitzer. Oh God, that was just a one continual run-on sentence just the last couple of years. That's like a gigantic book.
Yeah.
I think it's yours,
you
Andrea.
mean the one about
That's not mine.
the
Is that
one
yours?
that was more like concentric circles? You mean that one?
I don't know, but it was a
Yeah,
big one, that one. I have it upstairs, like I'm gonna read it.
Now there's one note on Freshwater for Flowers. She has a new one coming out, and I'll be talking about that in the next couple of weeks. So get ready for that.
Called
Fans.
3.
Oh, wow.
Amanda, do
Yep.
you want to give your big? There it is.
There it is.
Yeah, I'm like a little ways in it already, Andrea. It's real good. It's really good. And
She's
it's
a
another big fat
star.
one. She's really good.
Yeah, she's a star.
Amanda, Amanda, come back on. Do you have a big fat one you want to recommend? No? Okay.
I can't. I'm thinking it might be a Neil Stevenson book. Like he wrote this wild book called Anathem. And then most people really love his Necronomicon. Cryptonomicon.
Yes.
Yeah, but I have to think about it because it's been a long time since I've read those, and maybe my opinion has changed.
It's
but,
changed. Well, and Amanda, thank you for filling in. Everybody said you did a great job the
you
last
did a
couple
great
weeks. So
job.
thank
You
you
were
very
awesome.
much. Thank you very much for filling in
Yeah.
for me.
Good
So this was we went a little bit longer today, but we kind of did lots of different books. So great recommendations though again.
That was a great
So-
question to tease out all these stories.
I
It's
know.
great.
Fun question.
We can all talk about books for probably the rest of the evening. And then
Well, I think we should do our most slender favorites too now.
Ooh.
Shorties.
That
Shorties.
shorties. Okay, are they novellas? Okay, what are we doing then? Short stories or novellas?
No,
Well,
not short stories. I don't think.
Novella or novels, right?
Okay.
Novella
Okay.
or
Yeah.
novels.
We'll
Okay.
save
Ooh, I've got a good-
short
I can already
stories
think
for
one.
another time.
Yeah,
Short
I
stories
get-
on
yeah.
another.
I already
Yeah.
got mine. Okay,
I've
all right.
another
got
one.
mine too.
I think I've got mine. Okay.
Oof. All right.
All right.
Wow.
I gotta fly.
Okay.
Bye,
See
bye
everybody next
everybody.
week.
I'm going to see everybody. See you. Thank you, everybody. Bye. Stop that.